Today on Toy Domination, I am joined with Nikki, Nicole, Nickelback from Nicaragua. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. We are going to talk about you, so I hope that's not going to be too embarrassing. We're going to look at some of your awesome paint work. We're going to talk about a new line coming up called Savage Crucible, which I may have already given them some of my money, or at least I've put money towards them in the future. And then Nikki's got some toys of the week, or what you got. So we're going to see some new toy hauls this week. So thanks so much for being here. I'm really excited. Now, normally when I have a guest on, I do an icebreaker. But I wanted to do something a little bit different with you. Normally it's like questions like, I'll paint a picture like you're in a landscape and you're fighting some bad guys and you're what kind of hero. But I wanted to do something different here because you have a unique job. So I understand that you're a hematologist, correct?
Herpetologist.
Right. So we're gonna test your skills here.
Oh,
and I want you to
hot seat.
Yeah, that's right. I want you to be able to identify what this amphibian is.
All right, that would be a reptile, and that looks like a crocodile monitor.
Nice. So I picked this one on purpose because last night I told my son what your job was, and he was like, I have questions. Like he literally looked at me and was like, I have questions. And like this was one of the ones that came up, and he's really wicked smart. Like when he brought the monitor, he was telling me like, oh, the tail does this. So when he said crocodile or croc monitor, he's like, I don't know what that is. So we started looking at it. So I was like, well, I have to show this one now. So
excellent.
All right, let's see. Okay, let's test this one. Do you know what this one is? It's a little hard.
That looks like Cerastes or the horned viper. Can't see if he
it's a little hard.
Yep.
Yeah, it does have the horns. You are correct. But you're wrong. That is the devil that almost killed me in Afghanistan. So
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So walking out of my Humvee, and my interpreter yells, and I turn around, and he's got a bloody shovel, and he pulls a cigarette out of his mouth, calm as anything, goes, I just saved your life. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I looked down, and there's a head severed off this viper that shot out from underneath my truck. So
my goodness.
Breaking
my heart, but I understand.
Oh yeah. So I was like, you saved my life. So okay, all right. So you kind of got that one right, but let's see if you can get this next one.
Okay. Ooh, that would be the species called Bossk, or the individual called Bossk.
Yeah, that's right. So in your job, have you handled any of these animals before?
I have not been fortunate enough to, but I look forward to the day where I do, because that would be a fun day.
All right, and then I got one more here. You're doing pretty well so far. I'd say like 2.5 out of 4. So last one.
That would be the lizard people that are in Congress, I believe.
All hail our lizard masters.
Pretty sure it has something to do with the Illuminati.
All right, that was actually, I didn't know if you'd actually get that last one, that gag there. So I actually have a friend who's streaming in tonight. He has this constant joke about lizard people, so that's kind of an inside joke. But hey, let's give a shout out to 78 points of articulation. So many points of articulation. Brick and Tire. Nikki, do you know this guy?
Yes, I recognize a lot of the names from Instagram. One of the things with going to all these in-person cons in the last 2 years, we literally asked everybody to put name tags on their Instagram handle, because you only know people from their Instagram handle.
That's true.
William Robert Post is in the chat, the owner of Savage Crucible.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So it's like I said, I know a lot of people from their Instagram handles, and it's nice to also be able to put a face with a name when you meet people in person as well.
That's true. Yeah. Do you know this Nick? All the Nicks, you guys know each other, right?
Oh yeah.
Good. All right. Do you have a secret, like when the Jeep guys or motorcycles go to each other? You got the same thing for the Nicks?
Nick is an amazing diorama maker and customizer.
Oh, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And this is James, Ratface44. You know this guy?
Excellent. Oh,
it's okay if you don't.
I think so.
No, James, she doesn't know who you are. I'm sorry. No. So we've got people just piling up in the chat here. Thanks everybody for jumping in here. I love all the Transformer symbols. We're not going to talk Transformers today. I'm sorry. So Nikki, I contacted you prior to Legion Con, and you were super busy during that time period, and I was like, well, cool, I'll see you there. So I actually saw you at Legion Con. But here's the thing. I'm really bashful. So despite my bombastic personality, and I had my boys there, so they were like cruising through that show. They like see things like dad, dad, dad. It was like chasing two live wires. So they're just like all over the place in there. But you're at your booth, and I was like, oh, I should say hey, because I'm only an Instagram face, and I was like, she seems really busy. Look, she's got all this. She's busy, and it was the same thing. Like two other tables, I recognized like he's busy, and like if we're up to me, I would just politely leave like some cash on the table and take whatever I wanted and then leave. And like that's as much as I want to interact with people in public. But we did try to come back later on to your table, and you were gone. And I was like, oh guys, look at this stuff. So we did show, they were totally impressed by your wares there. So
awesome.
I had a near brush with you then, but I'm just shy.
No worries. Well, hopefully next time we can interact a little bit more.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll come in and like do a little wave, and then I'll just leave, and that's probably the most I'll be able to do. So
you'll be your signature move.
Yeah. My name tag will be reversed, so the sticky side will be out. So, okay, so I've got two GI Joes pulled up here, and then one of your interviews you had talked about how nostalgia had hooked you back into toy collecting.
Yes. So about, I used to collect, when I was a kid with my brother. My brother's 4 years older than me. We used to collect GI Joes mainly. We also got into Battle Beasts. He was super into Transformers. He was super into Star Wars. He was super into He-Man. And I mainly, when I started, I was doing like Strawberry Shortcake and My Little Ponies, and then I got into GI Joe and the Battle Beasts and things like that as I got a little older. So then we didn't think about it for a long time, and probably I think it's been about 10 years as an adult since I started collecting again. And I totally got bit by the nostalgia bug. I started collecting TMNT figures. The 2012 show really, really got me into thinking about TMNT again. That's Neutralizer there that I added some paint apps to. It's a little Playmates figure. So that kind of got me into collecting. And then I discovered some of the Four Horsemen's work with the Gothatropolis figures, the birds and the
yeah.
And then right around that time that I discovered those, their Mythic Legions Kickstarter was up. And so I don't believe Nikki collecting My Little Pony. Yes, it did happen. I was very young. We don't talk about those days anymore. But so then that kind of kickstarted the whole kind of reigniting my love of fantasy art, because also as a kid, I collected D&D minis and I was kind of into Dungeons and Dragons, but I wasn't so much into actually playing, but I really liked just making character after character. And so that's kind of how the whole Mythic Legions fantasy art as an adult kind of came about.
You have a fan request here for a future tribute.
I thought about it. I've done a lot of horses actually on my desk behind me here, and I have thought about it.
So what's interesting is that nostalgia dragged you back into toy collecting, but what hooked you really was a new IP. Like there is no nostalgia for, or at least there wasn't then, new nostalgia for Mythic Legions. So that's an interesting transition in there, and you attribute it to D&D and world building, right? Is that
absolutely? I just love creating characters. I don't really ascribe to any one person's storytelling. I kind of like to make my own. I kind of like to make my own little story in my head. I guess you could call it my ongoing lifetime campaign. And so I pick and choose characters that fit into that story, and I make characters to fit into that story.
Interesting. So, okay. So here's some more insight to you, right? So let's say that you're making your avatar in DVD, or up to DVD, D&D. What class are you choosing?
99% of the time, it's going to be a rogue.
Nice. Do you have any one fantasy character that you actually like comes to mind? Like, oh, I want to copy that character.
Not really. Nothing that comes to mind. I just kind of usually make my own. I have and do play Warcraft quite a bit too. So
okay, all right.
I have a rogue type character that I play.
And then, do you have a specific race you usually choose as well? Outside, not in World of Warcraft, but D&D.
Oh, and okay. Usually
elf.
No, definitely not elf. I love plain dwarves, not rogue dwarves, but I do like plain dwarf
Nice.
warriors. And then for a rogue, it would probably be a halfling.
Halflings.
But
Oh yeah.
not like Hobbit type halfling, but
Oh.
some of the more like the what was it called? The Eberron campaign. They had a really cool take on halflings. Yeah.
Interesting. Very
I
cool. And you've got another shout out here, specifically Greg, formerly the Brute Scale. Oh man, he's downsized. My goodness.
He's ogre scale now, so
oh, he's upscale. Hey. Okay, so that's your class and your race. What's your animal companion that you have?
Ooh, so if I were to play a druid, it would probably be an owl.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you're betraying your career with that choice, but okay.
I really love owls and birds. I as a herpetologist, I lump reptiles and birds all into Archaeosaura, so they're the same. They're the same.
Interesting. I wouldn't have taken that mixologist point of view, so I'm glad that you're here. Let me go back to a few more of your look at these. These are just incredible. So when you sculpt these characters, they're coming from your headcanon. So you've got the Mythic Legions lore, but you kind of take that and you're just like, thanks for the cool toys, but now, and you kind of build your own world.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a sculptor, so thank God for the sculptors that are out there. There are some amazing ones, and all of these pieces, the custom pieces used on these are from myactionfigurecustoms.com.
Okay.
And I basically take apart figures. I buy 3D printed parts. In the early days, we didn't have 3D printed parts. So my Action Figure Customs came on the scene pretty early. I think it's been about 4 years. And so it just opened up the possibilities of what you could do with a figure. And just kind of create the character from there. Usually I'll see like a head sculpture or something like that. And then go from there and I take a lot of inspiration from nature as far as like some of the frogs and things that I've done.
So I'm fascinated by the storytelling piece of this, right? Because my collection is just, so I've got a fantasy 6-inch scale collection that the boys and I play pseudo grimdark into our own lore. And then I've got a huge 4-inch G.I. Joe sci-fi collection that is built around its own canon as well, right? So I am fascinated by whenever someone else says, oh, I've got a story of my own. So you get all the bucks and then you see the head sculpts online, and are you inspired when you see a head sculpt to be like, that one can be a character, or are you hunting for something to already fill a gap that you've had?
I would say both.
Okay.
Usually I will see a head sculpt and think of a character, and then I have to go and find the right parts to make that character.
Okay. Yeah.
In addition to having to paint all the parts and make it cohesive. But I think like, for example, right now I have a whole idea of an area of the world to be like a seaside kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And right now I don't have any pirates or members of the seaside kingdom or things that are going to come out of the water. So that is a future area that my collection is going to go into.
Nice.
As different figures become available.
So this cow gives secret level Diablo vibes. And then we've got greetings all the way from Greece.
Oh, wow.
A huge 4-inch. Hey, listen, I got to represent the shorty kings out there too. Okay. So love the blue tigers in nature. And there was one other one I want to call it. Oh, she actually requested sculpts be made. Interesting.
Yes. As Rob's business came on the scene, I was quite demanding of him for certain things.
Well, I think in the middle segment here, before we'll transition, we're going to see some very interesting sea creatures coming up, I'm pretty sure. And then Brick says there's no good pirate figures out right now. That's interesting. I don't think there are. Like, the only things you get close enough are the 2.0 bucks with the light leather. You could kind of swap for pirates. Do you have any pirates in your collection right now?
I don't. I have some dwarf pirates that are in the works. I have the heads painted, but nothing really to put it together yet. So those are definitely in the works. Yeah.
Hat, parrot, peg leg. I mean, come on, you're not even trying there. You just slap those things on a dwarf, you're done. Pirate.
Yep.
Okay, so you say you're not a sculptor, but I was really flattered when you said like, "Hey, Tom, I actually have a figure that I made after you for a test shot." I was like, "Really? That's so flattering." So you went ahead. I haven't looked at it yet because it was a surprise. Let me go ahead and pull up what you. Oh, that's. And you named it Trom, as in Dom.
Yes, I just was so inspired by you.
That's rude. That's rude.
Hey, this is perfect because Faker Battle Cat is in the chat, and this is his favorite thing ever.
This is really good. Why don't you talk a little? So one, before you start talking, I love that weird color combination of that orange and blue. I've never really liked Faker, but every time I see that color, it's like a hypnotoad effect where I'm like, why do I like this? Like, it shouldn't work, but every time I'm like, you're one of my favorite He-Man characters. So talk a little about this character here.
Yeah, so my brother collected He-Man, and so I was familiar with some of the color combinations and things like that, but I was never personally into it. I'm not familiar with all of the characters. But as I started looking at some of the Motu tribute figures that had been made, I got inspired to make my own. And I started off with the felines because those were always what the felines and the birds is what drew me in as a kid.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was always, into various animals and things like that and the colors. So I did some felines, obviously Four Horsemen did Purplor and Cowaros, which attributes to the Battle Cat and the Panther. And so I was inspired by, I saw somewhere online, probably on a Faker Battle Cat's Instagram page, a Faker Battle Cat or a duplicate. And I was like, wow, that color scheme is wild. I have a blue body that is almost that color that works. And so I just got the parts and I made several different versions of it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So I did 4 total. Some had multiple heads, some had different heads. And these were all done around the time of PowerCon as my special tribute figures, tribute customs. I'm not going to do any more. So this was the last hurrah last year.
Now, so let me ask you. So it is hard to chase Mythic Legions after you miss that Kickstarter, right? And like a big bag toy store too, everything starts getting marked up and it's skyrocketing. There's a lot of bucks here that you have painted, and I don't assume that you're just like, well, I painted this one, wash, and you started from scratch, right? How are you getting all these bucks for this?
Yeah, being in the customizing game, you definitely have to stockpile things. It's not going to be available, particularly if it's if you have multiple ideas for that character. So I was a very prolific customizer and have a pretty big stockpile. So
okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then so is your collection just teeming with figures, or have you painted one and like one of these battle cats, for example, and then you gifted away, or do you keep all the ones you customize? Not all, but the majority you customize.
Yeah, when I started out, it was definitely all for myself and just building my own collection. But people seemed to be interested in what I was doing, and I started venturing into making things to sell, and then that kind of morphed into painting parts to sell.
Yeah,
so that people could make their own characters, which I think I like doing full customs, but I usually like doing full customs for myself because they are so much work. So I've ventured into more of the painting heads and parts to sell.
Yeah, okay.
It's a little easier, and then it gives people the fun of making their own characters.
So that is, and it's also painful though. I bought a kobold head at the last Legion Con. And then I had to be like, well, which body is it going to go on that I lose the goblin head to? So I was like, I just need to buy another goblin, clearly. And then when I got that one, I was like, well, I can't swap this head either. So, but it is really fun to be able to put a head on there. It transformed that figure entirely. Just one head swap. I'm like, this is a kobold, and I can never unsee that now. So
absolutely. And it's interesting because it definitely, the customizing community and the 3D printers have definitely driven a lot of the sales for figures. Because like you said, you find a cool head sculpt, and you're like, well, now I need a figure to put it on.
Yes, absolutely. So we got Alley Viper. Yeah, okay. I can definitely see the inspiration there.
Yeah.
The metal color in that cat face is awesome. Yeah, really cool cyborg effect there. And then there was another one here. Actually from Faker Battle Cat.
Yes. He actually has one of these figures that you have pictured.
Oh, very cool. And then there's actually a sea dwarf to honor Nikki's birthplace. What?
Wow.
Don't tell anyone, because then that's like one more step I can get to hacking her account. And then let's see. There's one other in here that was really good too. I'm not freaking playing with 375. What's a pirate's favorite letter?
Arg.
It's X, because X marks the spot.
Arg.
These are phenomenal. Let's look at, okay, so here's so I had seen your work a long time ago, and I was like, frogs, what an interesting choice. Like, no one really has frogs in there too. And now that I know your career, I'm like, oh, that makes total sense. And then with your symbol too, these are just, I love these fat boys. Like, these are great.
Yeah, so I was thrilled when My Action Figure Customs put these sculpts out. I believe they are sculpted by Gordon Lake, could be Lee Robinson. I can't remember right now, but I was absolutely thrilled. I had a million ideas of all the colors that I wanted to do them in. And these three are actually based on real life Harlequin toads that are endangered or extinct in the wild in Panama. And I was just there a couple weeks ago doing some conservation work related to these species. So special place in my heart for these three, for sure.
They look like they came out of a bag of Jelly Belly beans. Like that one, that looks like the popcorn one. You got a grape one in there too, and a caramel apple one in the middle. And this guy here, man.
Yeah, that is based on a fire belly toad, which was they're very common in the pet trade, and I used to have some when I was a kid. So a little bit of nostalgia there for sure.
Oh, nice. And then you got a question: how many hours did one of the cats take?
Probably a good full day. So I'd say 8 to 12 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you had I can't wait to see what she does with AWOC figures. You and I were talking about that right before the show here too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So everybody, those are just starting to ship right now, and people are getting them in hand, and some people are already customizing them in the AWOC group. And I'm sitting here on the sidelines, totally just like, oh, I can't wait to get mine. When we did Toylanta last year, the AWOC team was there, and that was the first time I was able to see the 6-inch figure prototypes. Yeah. And I put in an order that night in my hotel room. I put in an order because they looked good, and I got to say, they look even better. What people have in hand right now, the actual figures, they look phenomenal.
I'm gonna be chasing that line late, and I'm probably gonna regret it. Hopefully, there's enough surplus.
Yeah, I think they're actually still up for pre-order directly from AWOC right now. Yeah.
Oh man.
And I'm pretty sure they're about to sell out. The pre-orders are selling out on Big Bad, but you can still get them direct.
Okay. Yeah. So again, my boys were looking at this, and they're like, "Dad, what is that?" I'm like, "It's this new line. It's animal." And they like grab the phone, like, "Go back down. What is this? A jaguar? What is this?" And they were like, "Dad, this one." And the huge one, the Thane guy, the deluxe size one, they were just like, "Dad." And like, I was like, "Guys, I can't right now." So yeah, it's hard, but those are gorgeous, and I'm definitely gonna end up caving. Here's some of the horses we were talking about earlier. Definitely not My Little Pony yet, but I could see a symbol going on one of the rears there. So so wait, so one's a Clydesdale. The one on the left, or the one where the female rider's on, is definitely Mythic Legions. Is the one on the other one Mythic Legions as well?
It is, yeah. It is based on, so the hooves, the leg part of the hooves, there's from the demon horse.
Ah, got it. I did not get him. Okay.
I made the Clydesdale before the parts were available on like a good horse that you could say, and now we have the release of the Centaur, so you can get those parts and kind of do this pretty easily now without much repainting.
Yeah, very cool. No, that's awesome. Look at the freaking spots on that horse. That is immaculate, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I just, I with all the different colors of horses out there, I definitely wanted to expand what was in my collection, and actually ended up selling the paint horse on the left there, and I kind of regret it.
So that was one of my questions too, is that do you ever part with one of them that you put your heart into, or you really looked at it and was like, oh, I like this one, you parted with it? So the horse, do you have another one that got away from you?
Yeah, probably one of the faker battle cats. I probably should have kept for myself. But other than that, I feel pretty good about what I've let go and what I've kept.
Yeah. Good.
I do miss the horse though.
It's a really good horse. So do you consider yourself a photographer too? Do you say like, hey, I'm a painter / photographer? Is that when you're...
I do not consider myself a photographer, but I do my darn best.
Okay.
I love going hiking and just bringing a figure and doing some stuff on the trail as far as photography with it. But all the pictures that I take, and it might be very obvious to some, are all on my iPhone. I really don't like having to buy and research and haul like equipment.
Oh, yeah.
There was a time where I thought I would be really into scuba diving. And after, going through the whole process and becoming a scientific diver and all this stuff, so many hours in the field, so many hours in the cold Monterey Bay, I was like, you know what? This is just way too much damn equipment. Darn equipment to get in the water and enjoy myself for an hour-long dive. So I kind of gave that up. But my point is, I just don't like having a lot of gear and stuff. Yeah. I just want to go.
So that's $1 in the jar, by the way, Nikki, for that one.
Yes.
So yeah, that was the same thing in Hawaii too. Is all my bro friends like, oh, we gotta get into snorkeling, we gotta get into scuba diving, and like it's easy. You just get a tank and you get a computer, and I was like, guys, stop! You've just listed like $600 worth of gear. And none of us own a boat. So we, you know what I mean? I was like, this hobby is way too expensive for the payoff. Cause I did go diving a couple times. We went to go see the manta rays at night. I was like, well, this sounds phenomenal. So we went out there and it was pitch black and they have a halo ring at the top and they drop on the bottom. So it creates this column of light and all the plankton goes in there. And then, I feel weird telling someone who's actually a biologist, like, this is how animals work. Nikki, now a manta. So anyways, they had this halo effect and all these things were swimming around and not a single manta ray showed up. Like
really?
Not a single one. And that was the same weekend the volcano was supposed to be active and like there's supposed to be a lava flow. And I got out there and there's a picture of me pointing at this like cold lava trail, like thanks nature. So like definitely I did not feel like recycling that day. It's just like
yeah. But, when I went, we saw about 14.
Oh really?
Yeah. It was a great night dive.
The only compensation was actually, so I don't want to spoil one of the picks I've got coming up here, so I'm gonna wait. Here's the head sculpts you're talking about. I'm gonna come back to sea life in a second because I got a thing. So this is what you're talking about, where you start selling or you start doing heads instead of full bodies. And I think your display at Legion Con was just like those tiers of heads, right?
Yeah, I brought over 120 to last Legion's Con, so it was a lot of work. But yeah, so some of these I'll paint to match a specific body that I know is easily available for people to have. And others would be more fitting like a random color, like the squid-like character that you see in the middle there. Would be more appropriate for a soft goods body or a fully armored body.
Yes. I want to talk about some of these bruises here. Just to talk about myself for a second. So I'm still an officer. I was enlisted before, way back in the day. So I actually have a baby face, but I'm 85, so I look younger than I actually am. But no, I was enlisted first, deployed, came back, and I was like, hey, this sucks, man. So I went to college, and then I don't know why, but I decided to join the Army again. So it's like I learned no lessons, and I was like, oh, let me do this again, right? This was fun. And then my OMS has changed throughout the years. Currently, I do information operations, which is way too boring to describe anymore in this chat. But hey, Nikki, Brick Something, really interesting channel, very articulated dude. He talks about a lot of needless ephemera. That's where, and he's got this channel. It's like kind of his news thing, but I love the way he describes toys and how he talks about it. And he's very much like me, where he bought that 5K boar. He buys a Mythic Legions or the Gladiator guys, and like it's just interesting. He builds them into his own headcanon too. So really good dude. Really worth checking out here.
Well, and also I wanted to say thank you for your service.
Oh, it's my privilege. Seriously, like whenever I used to feel weird when people would tell me that. I'm like, just leave me alone. But now I'm like, it's my privilege. Like, honestly, like it's something I enjoy doing, and I'm almost done. But Faker Battlecat, thank you so much for that compliment. I'm going to shy away from compliments as much as possible, though. Much like what Nikki just did. I'm just gonna. What about? I thought that was Unicron, and I got really excited for a second, but it's Unicorn. So. And then Cthulhu head. Hold on now. We're gonna just hold that thought. So that's more of a mind flayer down at the bottom there, right?
Yeah.
One of the most disgusting D&D characters ever. But I love those orcs you have on the right. They are very inspired from the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings, which blew like the hatchet weapons they had and the big, like they're just bladed and bulky, and I love that. But you have gone to like the Blitzkrieg stormtrooper type style here. Like I love this design. Those two tusks coming out there. What's the canon behind that? What are those figures?
Yeah, so these parts are from the orc parts are from Planetary Dog Toys, and I had a lot of I have a pretty large orc collection,
cool.
Just because I was building out my army and I wanted to make some like frontline guys, the guys that you had to get through to get anywhere. And so just super heavy armor, fully armored bodies, spikes, just armed to the teeth. So I made about 4 of these. They're still in my collection. I did paint some extra heads to sell, but yeah, that's some of my favorite pieces.
So I'm going to nerd tactical here. So like these are definitely heavy infantry, right? Because they're just bogged down. Did you arm them with any like pikes or long weapons?
I didn't. I have them with some spiked shields and just some heavier blades. Yeah.
So if I were to take control of your army just for a minute, I would give them pikes, because these are definitely anti-cavalry guys. Like they're buried down with armor. They're not maneuvering, and just having them get that range out there. I would love to see these guys clash against some horsemen. So I am a huge fan of the orc races and less on the elves. So like I don't know if that means I have a dark side, but I absolutely like the Uruk-hai was rooting for them the whole time in that movie. And every time they got killed, I'm like, no.
Well, I believe Rob also does not like elves too much, so you might be kindred spirits on that one. But yeah, I definitely have more orcs in.
We have to be careful. We can't be racist here, okay? I need you to just tone down that offense, right? I've got elven viewers here, okay? No, that's kind of a relief. I feel like that is the race that's like the basic race. Everyone's like, oh, I'll pick the elf and I'll be Legolas and I can do everything. It's like, come on. So
anything but the elf.
Wow, down with elves, man. Oh man, see, you've started a hate crime here. This is ridiculous. Hey, so also for those of you who aren't already, please go follow Nikki on IG. It's totally worth your time. Really awesome content. And if you're not impressed by the pictures here, let's go ahead and take a look at this bad boy. Look at that. Sorry for that overlap. For some reason, compressing this kind of cross this. So I do recognize a head sculpt from somewhere.
Yeah, the goblin on the right is from Action Figure Customs. Okay. And he did this kind of fury goblin. It's a really creepy head sculpt with the eyes covered and everything.
Yes.
And the one on the left, it's a little obscured, but this is kind of what Mythic Legion's customizing started off with. There's a seller on eBay who is one of the OGs, Camaro dude. And he would take casts of heads and add hair and other embellishments to them and sell the painted cast or the unpainted cast.
Is he the one who started with the big belly guy as well? Did he put that out there first, or was it just the facial?
Yep, I think it was just the...
Okay, all right, yeah. So for those who don't know, I'm very ignorant. Like just end sentence. Just don't understand. So, but again, I look at these things from afar and be like, that is so cool. Now, I couldn't help but recognize that Oryx skin pattern with the red, very, very similar to the exclusive pack they just put out, the con, the Furies that they're putting out now. Is there any connection between those?
Yeah, so several years ago, they showed their first Fury Orc, and it was about a year or more out before that figure released, and I was just really inspired. At first, I was like, I have all these green orcs. I definitely do not need red orcs. Like, I just don't need them. And then I
Yeah,
sat
okay.
there and, waiting for this line for that wave to release. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make some red orcs. And then I got all these sculpts and I made like 5 of them before Fairy Orcs ever even came out. So I had my squad already.
Cool.
Way before they released.
I was lucky to get the dark orc that came with the blotch skin, and like,
oh yeah, rare.
Again, having that one compared to the green, like you're just like, you're something. You're like the Boba Fett of these orcs. I don't know what you are, but you are something, man. And like, I kept the splotch skin on. I was like, this is so unique. It's like, it's just, I love it. So, and then he just wants to be with the Warg boys. Yeah, totally wrong orcs there, but close. 375. All right, let's see. What do we got? Oh, okay.
Ooh,
yes.
okay.
Yes. Look at this lineup of deviants here. Oh, all right.
Yes. Definitely these portend what is to come. So Mind Flayer and then some larger, what I call Mind Blades in the background.
Oh, cool.
We have some head sculpts from myactionfigurecustoms.com. Also 2 from Teal Titan. He's super into the Mind Flayer and that sort of Lovecraftian look as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cthulhu inspired. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what the Mind Flayers basically were the Cthulhu inspired. So yeah, those are so good. So you've got the Mind Flayer in front. So are these back ones, like they're brutish enforcers? Is that like another class of them?
Yeah. So in Warcraft, they have a similar brute scale guy, and I don't remember what they're called in Warcraft, but I was reading some D&D material, and there was something called Mind Blade, which is a more physically able Mind Flayer. So they don't have as many psionic powers or mental.
They're the muscle. Yeah, they're the backup. They're the muscle for them. So
yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, you're getting a lot of compliments on these ones, but there's one in particular I really want to talk about. This guy. So he's not just an octopus. He's a blue-ringed octopus, which is a venomous octopus. And the octopus is my favorite animal in the world. And I'm okay if that thing just wraps its arms around the back of my head. Like, that thing is just so cool. Like, look at those circles. How did you do that?
Well, I used to work with an octopus or cephalopod expert when I was working at
jealous.
My former job. And so I got to see some species that were just out of this world, especially like little dwarf cuttlefish and things like that. But I wanted to do something really bright and wild with this one. And a lot of people are familiar with the blue-ringed octopus. It's kind of famous, even though it's so tiny. That's what inspired this. And the colors are really wild, and
they are.
Yeah, it was fun to do. And they're not perfect circles, so it was easy to freehand a circle-like shape on this.
They look perfect to me. So Davy Jones vibes. Now let me ask you. So, and I don't. This is not trying to bash the sculptor creator, what they made the process, but how fragile are those front tentacles? Like,
yeah, you definitely have to be careful.
Okay, fair enough.
You gotta protect against shelf diving for sure.
So again, almost every toy in my display. I don't have display. We have a toy room. Almost anything is open for my boys to play with. Mythic Legions, I have to be there. And it's only because they're very good with articulation and controlling things. It's just that it's more of like some of those figures, like $600 now. I'm like, hey, if that guy breaks, I'm not replacing him, right? And so when it comes in the custom ones, like resin or 3D printed, there's often a lot of times I have to do like the play test. Like, it's got to be playable in order for me to be able to, get in front of them. So they saw this. I'm like, guys, I don't think that tentacle's making like one game, man. And they're really fragile, but like shelf diving, building diving is a thing, So unfortunately, I don't abide right now by just display pieces. Like, everything come down. So there's anything that's fragile in my collection has either been sold or destroyed. But that's amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty durable, but the kid test and the shelf diving test, that's a hard.
Yeah, there you go. That's the So exactly. So, all right, very cool. Yeah, I am. Oh man, that thing is so great. And then here are some recent paint apps you've been doing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So these are some Savage Crucible Paint Masters, and these ones, the lava lizard, the lava lemurian, as they're called in that line, that was painted by Eric Miller. So he's also a very great customizer in the Mythic Legions community. And the bottom right Piranoid is by Tim Peake, also a great customizer as well, great painter. You should see some of the armor and weapons that he does. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited about this, and this is going to be our pivot here.
Yeah.
We're going to dive out of this, and we're going to talk about. Hey, so just as we transition here, for those of you new, we stream every Thursdays at 9 p.m. We start focusing on a lot of creative talent like Nikki, or people who build their own worlds, like with stations, or like what do we have last time? Gosh, I'm completely blanking. Oh, we had someone who made G.I. Joe vehicles completely out of cardboard, but they look like real G.I. Joe vehicles. And then STC Forge, who makes diorama pieces, and he's actually a machinist in his real job. So we love having creative types on here. And every Thursday, we're just trying to get some more creative talent in here, or just talking about our own customs that we do too. So, but right now, I think that this qualifies as toy news. I'm pretty sure.
Love that little
yeah, that's all Joe. So Joe's the talent here. So hold on, let me transition here. Make sure I can get this right and share. We should be looking at some. Whoop, that's not right. Dom. There we go. Wow. Some Savage Crucible. All right, so this is the current Kickstarter that's going on. So I'm not going to speak too much about it. Why don't you just introduce this, because I don't know anything other than the fact that I was like, give me here's my money, take it now. So
yes, so William Robert Post, who is in the chat currently, he ran a successful business called My Action Figure Customs for a number of years, and he is now segueing into a factory produced toy line called Savage Crucible. It is a darker take on fantasy. There isn't any one person that owns fantasy, which is what's so great about fantasy art. And so it's great to see other people's takes and inspiration. And one of the things about Savage Crucible is that there's so many artists involved with it that a lot of people lend their vision, but it becomes a cohesive property. And
that's awesome.
That's what is really inspiring to me about it. So on the Kickstarter itself, you will find waves 1 through 3. They are all, there are definitely more waves planned, but waves 1 through 3 are what the Kickstarter is for. Each wave ships at a different date, and the wave structure was structured in a way where these things would be produced as quickly as possible and into fans' hands as quickly as possible.
I saw that, and that's you definitely have a delayed sense of gratification when you jump into a Kickstarter, right? Like it's definitely like, okay, well, it's 2023, so I'll see this when my kids are in college. But I did see that they're trying to get out to the fans as quick as possible. I think that's an amazing goal and ambition. That's really cool. I'm usually very, even with big companies, like I'm usually pretty like, I'm going to pre-order this, and when I get it, I get it. But I think it's awesome that they've already learned and gotten ahead of that curve in certain areas. That's pretty
right. Yeah. Rob got ahead of the initial start by putting in a lot of his own money, and is kind of already 2 years into the pre-production.
Yes.
process.
Yeah. And that's what people don't understand. Like a lot of times when they bag on Hasbro or McFarlane, it's like, guys, they can't do a hard, or Classified's a perfect example. It's like, hey, they can't do a hard pivot. Like there's a long lean time in getting a figure out there, So as you complain about a point of articulation or a certain sculpt, like that's down the chain. Like there's already things coming through the pipes as you're complaining about what you currently have in hand. So something I definitely learned about just following like Mythic Legions, for example, or Hasbro. Here, let me talk. I'm dying to like look at this Saurian. That is,
yeah. So wave one is the Lemurians or reptilians.
Yeah.
And so you'll see a few different designs. There's unique head sculpts on each of the figures. And in addition, there's character packs that are offered, which give you more head sculpts that are painted to match certain figures, in addition to a variety of armor that's swappable with the named characters and weapons in those character packs. And in addition to the named characters, which have full paint apps, We have these figures called Savage class figures, which are they come with a little bit less accessories. But
let me get down to those real here. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Are they painted? Yeah, here we go.
Yep. So he's full paint apps, but comes with less. And a lot of the heads in the head packs and the character packs match this figure. So that's a great $25 option for army building.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, the name characters are $38. And then there's another even cheaper option called a slate. So the slate was named by Bill from Dorklair. And this is basically a blank slate. So these are $15 figures that are molded in a single color plastic with paint apps on the eyes and mouth that are really geared towards customizers or people that want to army build that don't mind the minimal paint apps.
I do not mind the minimal paint apps. Like my imagination will take over the rest, especially when I got a league of these lizard folk running around trying to savage my mythic legions. So this is phenomenal. I love this. I love the scaling of the price and what you get in there too. You're not fixed at the full deluxe figure. There's different levels in there. So here, let me severed head goal is a game changer. Man, I am. Hold on, we'll get to that one. We'll
to scroll down, we'll definitely talk about that one as we scroll down to the bottom to this.
Okay. Megan Hicks, these are 1/12
yes,
scale.
They're about 7-inch figures. We have a lot of line comparison photos on the Instagram page and also the Kickstarter.
I think I just saw one on Instagram comparing to the Valiverse figures, the size wise. So those are good. Those are good size figure. Love the fact there's so many talented creatives to customize. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. An amalgamation of talent forming one narrative in there. That's really cool. I didn't know that. I was today years old when I learned that. So 100K for the head hook. My goodness. These are all spoilers to me. I have no idea what's coming. I'm afraid to keep scrolling at the bottom here. Okay, but I am going to. I have already committed to these dudes all the top, like every one of them. And then I saw the slates and I was like, well, crap. And I may have gotten one or two of them. Yeah, here's another one. Look at this guy. Like, I love that dark shade in there too. And I love the fact that it's tailored towards customizers. But also, like, I've got bins of stuff that I can start slapping on this. And if I wanted to, I could dress this up sci-fi and it could fit in with some Cosmic Legions too. Like, it's just like a slate's a great characterization of that.
Absolutely. And so yeah, you're getting to the character packs, and that orange and red Lemurian it's called the Conclusive. So that'll be exclusive to the Kickstarter, but also will be exclusive to the in-person conventions that Savage Crucible attends over the next year. Hi, Chris. And also contests and things like that. So
oh wow, yeah, very cool. Yeah. Oh, I love these character packs too. Like, so again, my boy saw the it's not a Gila. What's the frilled lizard?
The frilled lizard.
Yes, he loves those. So again, my kid is just a nature nut. We were watching 72 most dangerous animals in there, and like, so he knows all the. But he saw the frilled lizard, and he was like, "Oh, Dad," I'm like, "Man, kid, you're gonna drive me." Like, I'm trying to save your college here, son.
So cool.
All right, the Dwarven coins was interesting. I don't want to spend too much time on that though, because I actually want the comic book. There's so much to unpack here. Please go to the Kickstarter, go check it out, because I want to look at the figures here. What's interesting? I am the least interested in the humans. Like, they're great, they're really good. It's not knocking it at all, but I'm blown away by the third wave here. Like, I was hooked by the first one. And then I saw the third one. I was like, please get to that level. So this is cool, though. I like this barbarian build.
Yes. So Human has a story in the first graphic novel. The first graphic novel is available for digital download on the Savage Crucible website.
Oh, very
And there's
cool.
a hard copy available through the Kickstarter. So if you're wondering why he's named Human, you got to read the graphic novel. But what they're doing, so all of the amazing sculptors involved in this line, Gordon Lake, Kevin DeLise, Nick Whitmore, Lee Robinson, Arlen Pelletier, they have all done phenomenal work sculpting this line.
Oh man.
So we have various barbarians. And one of the most exciting thing is there's an officially licensed Frazetta character.
I saw that. I saw. So let me hold on. I want to make sure that I didn't offend anybody by saying I wasn't as interested in this. Like, these are phenomenal. If I had to rank them, these would be 3 for me. Until I saw this guy and I went back and looked, I was like, that is so just I love classic Conan, where he was actually the Sumerian thief. And I loved what's the white elf that time travels? He has the dark sword, not Dritz, the guy before Dritz. And then I love grim dark fantasy and Frank Rosetta inspired art, Death Dealer, all that. When I saw this, I was like, doggone it, I've got to get a pseudo Death Dealer guy in there too, man. So, and this guy, my boys, I forgot about this guy too. I thought he was in the third wave. Loved Jaeger. They love this guy.
Yeah, a lot of people
Elric
saying that Jaeger's their favorite. And so he is what's called a Therian, so a shapeshifter race that has animal affinity that they can shift into. And he will be the subject of, or the main character in the second graphic novel.
Oh, well. Everyone's jumping in. Elric. Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about. Elric. Really, really. So do you read a lot of fantasy, Nikki? Are you?
I do. Mostly it was... D&D. I did a lot of Anne McCaffrey growing up, Lord of the Rings, just all kinds of stuff.
And then My Little Pony fan fiction. That's
right. Friendship is magic.
Elric is really good. I have to say though, it's very trippy. Like he time travels, he goes to different dimensions. It's written differently. It's definitely worth it for a different take on some darker fantasy, but really good here. Yes, the lizard folks will be great with matching with Thundercats. That's a great point in there. Digging the Frazetta Warrior. Really want the Nishori next to my War Duke. Oh, that's a great combination there. Great thing about the non-human characters, they integrate with more scale. So that is what is appealing to me as a player of toys. Is that monsters for me can be interchangeable with 4-inch and 6-inch. So if I've got a Warhammer orc, well, he can be a big old orc for my Mythic or my Valaverse or Marvel Legends to fight, but he's a giant for my 4-inch figure. So monsters are always appealing. And with a slate, it comes with just universal. Like I said, it could be a sci-fi, it could be anything like this too. So that's one of the exciting things is I think a lot of people are going to be able to combine Savage Crucible with other lines for that effect. I have some 4-inch boss fight figures that are like, minion size or fairy size with some of my 7-inch figures. So I think, oh, genius. Yes, of course. Yeah. Well, so I started stealing, actually this is a perfect example here is that I jacked this from Dark Phoenix, and it's now to a mage as like either a familiar or a casting a spell. So same thing with Lockheed. I was like, nope, you're coming at it away from Shadowcat, and you're going over to over here. So the Mythic Legion's like, oh, here's some more. Oh, look at that mercenary. Oh man, this guy's seen some action here.
Yep. So those there's some skulls in that pack. And they're actually skulls that have handles on the back, so you can like grip them like this and just wail on your enemies, and it's pretty cool. Pretty cool ideas here.
Yeah. So the old Conan graphic novels are pretty good from Marvel. When Dark Horse picked them up, that's what I got somewhere back here. Oh yeah, right here. The troll's blocking the way here, but all these binders are Dark Horse Conan, and just they're straight out of the books. And like, I read these, I binged on them and went back and chased them down. I love Conan the Cimmerian. That's not the Schwarzenegger guy. He's actually this lean, stoic thief. And he's why am I talking about this? Let's go back to these toys. Nikki, how did you get me talking about Conan the Barbarian? Ridiculous. But here we go. So I teased this earlier on with the sea line. Wow. Yeah.
So as much as I love reptiles, Wave 3 is my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I set this up by saying I have my seaside shelf planned with pirates and that kind of thing, right? And so these piranoids are going to play a big part in that.
That's awesome.
Setup. I almost said exhibit. Setup.
No, it will be an exhibit. You have a regular. So the Fathom, I think that is leaning towards who wrote Cthulhu, Lockhaven,
Lovecraft.
Gosh, yes, it's Lovecraftian, isn't it? The Fathom where the fish people that came out in the sea, the town was all Hypnotize, right? Isn't that the Fathom?
Rob
Mixing
is
my
the
lore.
expert on Lovecraft. I
Oh, okay, all right.
shamefully am not as familiar with Lovecraft.
It's good. It's worth reading a few to get the feel and the creepy vibes, but also you have to look at it and read like, okay, well, this is a jar filled with water. I've seen, you know, modern movies now, but it's still the prose is still worth diving into for it. So yeah, these are great. Dreadnoughts. So you have a scout, which is like a light class. You've got an abyssal.
Actually, that Abyss Dreadnought is one of the ones that I painted the paint masters for. So I actually have him here where I could show you after you're scrolling.
Get rid of this. What are we even talking about this for?
Yeah. So I got to be super careful with this guy because it is a prototype.
Sure.
So let me get them together.
I'm gonna blow you up full screen here. Zip.
All right. So this is the Abyss Dreadnought.
Look at that guy, man.
Paint master. And let me open his jaw here. They all have articulated jaws.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and he has a helm that's removable. This one is modeled after an anglerfish, a deep sea fish. So he has the lamp, the bioluminescent.
I didn't even see that there. That's so great. Oh, I would totally fall victim to him. I'm a sucker for bright lights. So that's
Paint Master of the Abyss Dreadnought, and there are character packs for Wave 3 as well. So there's all kinds of different types of heads that match the different figures for that.
That's cool. So Town of Innsmouth, that's what I was thinking about. I'm pretty sure the Towns of Innsmouth, the people who are all, he shows up, he's like, these people are weird. I think it's the Fathom that are affecting it. I don't remember. But, oh, man, those are so good. I did not see the anglerfish simulator. Man, those deep sea fish are stuff on nightmares. I'm so glad they're this big. All right. So there's this bad boy, and you had him in your hands here, and you've got this looks like the equivalent of the slate, correct? Basically,
yeah,
for the lizard.
That one's the Savage, so it'll have a little bit more paint apps, but then the slate is the same head sculpt with fewer paint apps.
Very cool. That is a genius marketing maneuver there because now I can go big on some of the main ones I got, but I can go back and get these bucks and geez, now I just have to learn how to paint. And
here is the the Harbinger of the Abyss, the Cult of the Abyss. His story will unfold more in the graphic novels.
He's the good guy, right?
Yeah, I think he'll go quite well with some of my my Mind Flayer and Mind Blade customs.
Now, this was the image that I saw teased for this line a long time ago. Like of any of the art, however many months ago, this was the one that I constantly would see or like would gravitate towards. So that hooked my interest early on because the Mind Flayers are so twisted and weird and like they suck your brains out and like they're aliens within D&D and like the I love dark purple color schemes anyway. So yeah, very cool. And I love the asymmetry on here too, just not only from the arm, but also the boots at the bottom too.
Yeah, not something that you often see on a figure is that asymmetry. So some people love it, some people hate it.
Well, because it's literally jarring to how our brain wants to see things. We like to see symmetry. So when we don't, we're like, I don't like this for some reason. It's like, stop listening to your id. Like, it's cool figure. Here's
more of the character packs with the different heads.
Cool.
And yes, onto the stretch goals. So one of the cool things about the stretch goals is that they right now are focusing on a lot of the belt accessories that characters carry. So it kind of offers like a whole other level of customization to think about what the characters are carrying and why. And you can really do some story building with just that aspect, which I really like.
So, it's funny. That's why the classified Zartan was so cool to me. He came with a monkey's paw and a snake head. And like of all the things on that, that's what I was most blown away. Like I was looking at that figure and my buddy Joe was like, it came with a monkey's paw. I'm like, why? Because he's Zartan. I'm like, that is amazing. Why would he have a monkey's paw? Like it just invokes so much and like little details. Go ahead. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like I have questions. Why does he have a monkey's paw?
And why are one of the fingers down already? Like, what did he do? So I love the scrolls too, because like again, like so I actually am not a big 5e player. I like OSR, the old school revival. I like the very simple stats and low crunch kind of things too. But spell scrolls are always very interesting because it's like a pick up a spell, burn it, and it's gone thing. And I I found someone at Mythicon who had little tiny rolled up scrolls with a ribbon on it, and I bought a handful, and we use that as loot now in our games. Like I've got these little treasure chests, my boys will find one, and I've got a card, and like that's the spell Knock. So they get to use it for that one quest, and then they burn it and it's gone. So
that's awesome. Yeah, so the scroll was just unlocked as a stretch goal today, and then we're on to trying to unlock an alternate head for the conclusive, that orange and yellow Lemurian. And if you keep going, there's some scabbards and other belt accessories, bear arms for various characters. So you'll see a few of those.
Oh, wow.
Alternate head. Yep. So that's like a Dilophosaurus.
I was about to say it's a Dilophosaurus or Dilophosaurus. Yes, awesome.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite of the Lemurian heads. I love that head sculpt.
Oh, that's good grief. It just keeps
going. More bear forearms and shins. Again, those are swappable. Water skin.
Oh, man. This is incredible.
Potion bottle. I hope we
of course
to unlock the potion bottle, because I definitely need those.
I haven't looked at this since wave 1 when I bought into it, right? And then I saw recently, I was like, wave 3 is unlocked. I'm like, oh, I got to get back over there. No idea. It just kept going here. Like I was like, oh, we'll spend a few minutes scrolling through this. I had no idea that it went this far into the unlocks here. So let's see. Having Nikki come see my figure round was an honor, and having her work on my custom figures even cooler. Super happy for what she's doing now. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate that. Greg has an amazing. It's basically an exhibit hall of a collection, and
really cool.
Set up just such amazing dioramas and scenes of his figures. Like it's very, very cool to see.
That's awesome. Does he have a channel? Should we be subscribing to him?
I don't think he has a channel. He does have an Instagram, so he's Greg _ formerly Brute Scale.
Okay, I'll check it out. Everyone, go check out his stuff. Let's see it. Stretch goals. Yep. I need those all head and bear parts. Really cool. Absolutely. So I missed the comment earlier. So golden age of sword and sorcery figures. Yeah, I absolutely. And also someone make the comment of the golden age of Kickstarter or indie companies. And you and I were kind of talking about this earlier, how nostalgia is great. G.I. Joe's awesome. Transformers are awesome, right? I'm a modern and 90s, 80s comic kid, right? So I have those attachments. But I also really, really love stuff that doesn't have any attachment, is new and fresh. And that is what is screaming this line here. And I think you, at the very beginning of this conversation, talked about that too, with how you jumped to Mythic Legions for that same, unburdened new imagination and potential. Like, and this line screams that.
Absolutely. By all means, I do collect some nostalgia properties, but it's also nice to not be bound by nostalgia and just let your adult imagination run free. Yeah. So this is what you just got to is the stretch goal that someone was talking about earlier. So this is a head hook, and it has a neck peg. So you can attach the head of other characters.
I had no idea what I was looking at. I was like, what is this?
And Rubus, who was in the chat earlier, I don't know if he's still there, but amazing artist from Greece, I believe. He worked a lot on the graphic novel, and also recently did a piece of artwork of the Jaeger, the werewolf type figure.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Holding the severed head of one of the Piranoids. And so then thus this was born.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Head hook for the win. And, the additional effect, accessories and head parts. Yeah. Unlimited combinations. And again, it's like that. It's like a monkey's paw, like Nikki said earlier. Like if I put a head hook with this guy, well, he's obviously more savage than this dude over here who has some scrolls or maybe a potion on him. Right. So you're already telling the character just based on some accessories and bundling with them. So,
right.
Oh, here's a question. Curious how they'll paint the head hook and the neck color. Oh, that is an interesting point.
Yes, I don't have the answer to that at this time.
Nikki, just put another dollar in the jar. All right. Well, I think that's finally all. I did not. Man, there's even more here, guys. Please go check out this Kickstarter if you haven't already looked at it. I'm in. What's that?
Lots to look at.
Yeah, I'm obviously very biased because I've sunk money into this, but it's really cool. I think it's gonna be worth it. So, okay, we're creeping on an hour here, but I think that you wanted to show off some toy hauls or some toys of the week. Yeah. So let's see what you got over there. What you got, Nikki?
Nice. So I have been super busy since LegionCon. I got really sick after Legion's Con, and then I went out of the country for work. So I am just catching up on some stuff. So some stuff that's new to me, y'all probably already have in your collections, but I'm pretty excited about it. So
new to you though.
Able to get my, speaking of nostalgia, my Crimson Guards. I got about 6 of them because as a kid, my brother had a Crimson Guard and I was very jealous and I never had any. And so now I could buy 6 and that's my vindication all these years later. So I got my Crimson Guard. I also got this Amazon exclusive Zestre Combatants Praetorian Guard. And I really, really love the colors on these. I got, I got 4 of these just for army building purposes. It goes
Nikki, you don't need to explain why you got 4 of them. Okay. Safe space. Safe space.
Got 4 of them. These go with a custom that I just made recently. And then I also got this Valaverse pack. And I really loved the Delta Troopers, which are, it's like, to me, it just speaks, remember those army men that were molded in green plastic?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. That's what the Delta Troopers remind me of. And I really liked that. And I just love this Steel Brigade, Heavy Armor Steel Brigade head. So that's a recent gift for me.
It's also, it could be homage to the green shirts from G.I. Joe as well, too. They had the regular guys just running around there. So somehow I missed that one, too. Huh.
Yeah. And ValaCon is this weekend. They're going to be showing all kinds of new stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't have the females yet. I just added them to my pile of loot from Big Bad today. So hopefully they'll be coming in soon.
Spoilers, they're awesome. So you're despite being nostalgia, which was 3.75, you're very much exclusively 6-inch. Why?
Yeah.
Why? All right, let's get all the jokes out of the way between 4 and 6 inches we got. Okay. So why the 6-inch scale though?
The 4-inch figures still feel like a little too much kids toy for me.
You get big old adult hands now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just, easier to see on the shelf. And I just like the scale better. It seems more of, I don't know. I know there's some thoughts either way on that, but for me, I just like the larger figures.
We need female characters. Yeah, I agree. I think that that's interesting. I didn't even notice that they were, well, you don't know, they're fish. Fish don't have boobs, so they could actually be female fish.
They are androgynous. They might even be able to change genders.
There you go. Right. And if it's a bigger, some of the lizards that are bigger are female too. So yeah, you don't know. All right. So this is my toy of the week here. So I am a 4-inch collector as well. And this Muldoon here is from Joy Toy, which is becoming one of my favorite lines. Now, this is the actual normal figure. And this is a Marvel Legends or 6-inch figure in comparison. Okay. So right around the middle. Did you ever read Stormwatch from the 90s? Image Comics.
I did not.
Okay, well, he screams Fuji to me, which is the big. You know how Image Comics had every team had 5 characters. You had like the Wolverine, the Psychic, the Soldier, and the Muscle. And Fuji was Stormwatch's Muscle. He was, oh my gosh, I thought that broke. I was about to cry on stream. He was big and white, and he had a little red triangle in there. I was like, this is Fuji. Really cool. And what's interesting about this toy design is, let me put it up here in the mic again. You hear that? It's got ratcheted joints.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Computer, turn on basement lights. Okay. Well, that was weird. My AI just decided I was done streaming. He's really neat. My only complaint with him is that there's a little head in here, which is fun, but this is the 4-inch head. That's not. I don't understand why they made this jump, because it's too small for a 6-inch figure's head.
Yeah.
And it's too large for a 4-inch. And what kills me is that if this character dies out there and I want to head swap and put another dude in, it's like, no, it's another guy. I can't, because this head won't go on anything. And I am completely baffled why they pulled the like Buzz Lightyear, where it's like, well, you got a 6-inch line, a 4-inch line, a micro line. I'm like, why did you do that? So I'm forever going to have to just hide that head sculpt inside this helmet. But otherwise, he's got these machine guns on here where the magazines can come out. And if that's not excessive enough, the ones in the belt come out too, and you can see evidence by one being missing. So all these come out of there. I'm like, good googly moogly. A Joy Toy is really, really fun. It scratches that. No other 4-inch line hits the sci-fi for me like Joy Toy does. They do a lot of Warhammer right now too, but I'm just not a diehard Warhammer fan. I just can't get into them. That's my one main pickup. It came in with my big bad, and I'll save the rest for my regular stream for awesome. Next week here. Yeah, Warren Ellis took. Yeah, he did. Warren Ellis picked up with Authority, which was really good. We can't talk about comics here, Nikki. What are you doing? We can't go down that rabbit hole. Those are really cool. Yeah, the mech suit. Yep, mech suits are even bigger actually, and they do a 1/25th scale. Yeah, Wild Sword Comics. So I am still a fan of Wild Sword Comics. Like they just re-released Wildcats, and I'm picking up and just it's really, really good. So
that head sculpt on the figure you showed reminded me a lot of.
Go ahead, try me.
I'm gonna age myself here, but the old Captain Power figures.
Of course.
Yeah. It reminded me of the bad guy from that.
Yeah. Wait, was it Captain Powers or was it the Power Extreme? Those guys with the clickable armor, wasn't that it? With the Centurions, wasn't it?
No, I think it was Captain Power. It was like a very short run show, is live action show, but they had really, really bad computer graphics.
It was phenomenal, and you could shoot at the TV screen. That was mind blowing back then. Yeah. So I know. So I'm again, like I have a baby face. I'm 85, so I'm fooling everyone here. Lots of makeup for being on camera. As soon as I go over there, though, it's all just bags and wrinkles. I've got a big safety pin that pulls it all back. So that's awesome. So we're creeping past an hour here. Is there anything you want to plug or put out that we haven't already talked about, Nikki?
Nope. Just to say that hopefully, people, the whole idea of why I got into collecting and customizing was for fun. And I love it when people can embrace that and pass that joy on, just to spread the positivity.
And I think so. That is a really good note. And we kind of talked about this before the show, and I've been talking to other similar channels about that same point of view, is that things are allowed to coexist. Like, so Famine Studios had a great video where he was saying like, hey, if you don't like the prequels, then Star Wars isn't for you. If you don't like the Mandalorian, Star Wars isn't for you. If you don't like expanded universe, Star Wars isn't for you, because it's for everyone. I was like, that was so well put, because Star Wars is a great example. It has gone through so many cycles and rotations and changes and directors, even within a trilogy, different directors, but you can appreciate pieces of it. Like, I really enjoyed Solo, and people hated that movie. I was like, this was fun. I liked it. I thought Danny Glover's great. I thought the guy who played Han Solo is great. You can have those things all coexist and have fun from it. And I think that we as adults, we get too fixated on the details. Eric from Know You Grow Up said, like, I think that we analyze things too much, and that takes away some joy. So maybe it's better to be ignorant, like a Flowers to Algernon kind of situation, where maybe it's a little bit better to be a little bit ignorant of things. But you're right. It should be centered around fun and enjoying it. And like, yes, this head's a little too big, but guess what? I got this awesome Fuji mech that's going to be stomping in some bugs or Xenos out there, and I can't wait to use this sword in something. Like, as disappointed as the head doesn't work, I got this amazing mech suit. So yeah, I agree. Let's just have fun.
Nice figure, yes.
Yeah. So.
Right on. Well, thank you again so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing I want to plug is for next week, I've got a creative talent coming on here. Wentzilla. So he's got a YouTube channel, and he's got a really cool space. Yeah, he's got beautiful photography, but he also does a space station, much like Empire Toy Works, where he just has his own headcanon universe, very Star Wars inspired, but he continuously adds characters of his own in there too. And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, this is someone who has fun with their toys. And I can't wait to have him on next week. So next Thursday, 9:00. But Nikki, I think it was good. I think that that was such a good broadcast. I'm never going to have to stream again. That was it.